Hello and welcome to On the Kerbs. I'm your host, Thiemo Daily. Joining me this week is Jordanian racing driver Farah Zakaria. Karting from the age of 6 and following in the footsteps of her racing father, Farah was always destined to become enveloped in the world of motorsport. From karting, she's also ridden in motocross, represented her country in the FIA Rally Star competition, and has competed in Rally Jameel. We talked about all of this when we caught up recently, along with a lot more. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi Farah, thank you very much for being here today. First of all, how are you?
Thank you for having me first. We usually say Alhamdulillah in Arabic, which is an Arabic saying called meaning thanks God. So Alhamdulillah, all is well. All is well from many aspects.
That's what we love to hear. It's nice and easy going, not going into this with any bad omens. Perfect. So the first question I like to ask everyone that I talk to is, what first got you interested in motorsport?
That's a really warm question to my heart, actually, because I started motorsport when I was 6 years old, back in 2006. My father was the one who got me into motorsport. He was very involved in motorsport ever since he was a young kid. He started go-karting and then he started rallying, started as a driver and then became a co-driver. He won many championships, including the Middle East Rally Championship with His Excellency Mohammed bin Slayem, which is the current president of the FIA. He worked his steps up, and then he started working with the FIA, managing rallies, both cross countries and rallies, and now he's an official steward with the FIA. So ever since I was little, I watched him. I grew up with him, always being on the podium. So I was always there for him, always cheering him, and this is what got me into motorsport. So when I was 6 years old, he grabbed my hand and told me, "Would you like to try something cool?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" It was go-karting. So that's where I stepped into go-karting, and I was the youngest and the first female, actually. Forget about feminism. This is a whole topic I'm gonna tackle definitely in this in our conversation. But proudly, I would say that I was the youngest in Jordan. I was only 6 years old to start go-karting at that age, and we never. Now you can see in motorsport there is a Minimax and Micromax and the Bambino class in go-karting, which happened recently, maybe 5 years ago. But when it was 6 years back in 2006, I mean, this class was never here, and especially in the Middle East and in Jordan. So I was the first to introduce this category to Jordan, and in 2007. 7 participants started to participate because they were influenced by me, actually, which made me very special. And each year we used to do a senior and a junior category go-karting championship. And as we grew, the category grew with us until we had a really strong Jordan championship in terms of karting.
There is so much I could go into that.
It's fine. We have as plenty as 40 minutes. We can open the link.
Yeah, we've got plenty of time. Yeah, I mean, if you're surrounded by all of that growing up, it's probably not surprising that you ended up where you are today. And in some ways, you know, you say your dad was asking you, "Do you want to do something cool?" You're not really going to say no to that, are you? And you're going to at least give it a go and see what happens.
Exactly. I still did have my feminine side because my mom was totally against that, because she knew what dad went through, how dangerous the sport is. So she tried to influence me not to. She tried to put me into ballet, gymnastics, basketball. I did try them, but nothing. I never felt
not quite the same.
It never felt the same.
And you said you were the youngest competing, 6 years old. How young was the next child up from you? What was the age difference? Do you know?
2 years older.
Okay. I was thinking, how big a difference was this going to be here? Whereas you was 15, 16-year-olds going, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I was I'm born in 1999. I remember the second oldest was born in 1997, but they were all males again. I was the only female. I think throughout my whole career in Jordan, I only met one girl. I only competed with one girl. There wasn't any girls other than maybe one or two.
Was that something you noticed at the time, or was that only kind of later looking back that you kind of realized that as such? Because maybe as a kid you were just focused on karting.
Unfortunately, this is a sad story that even when I was watching my father in rally, there were very few females who were either driving or co-driving in the motorsport. And as you know, it's a male-dominant sport, but now we can see how the FIA is empowering women, how many ASNs are empowering women, and even the Jordan Federation is doing so, and we can see that the big shift in Saudi Arabia also. So this is what Saudi Arabia is doing for women and female in motorsport is such a big influence, and we really need that in the MENA region and in the world, because we need more female in the sport. Not because there has to be a spot for female, because actually female can compete with men and actually achieve and win championships, not in their category, but in the overall category.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It should be something where they're there because they want to be, they deserve to be, and they proved that they are more than capable of it, and that's it.
Yeah.
So obviously now you're quite far away from where you started in terms of racing with karting, and now you're obviously still in motorsport, but very different worlds of motorsport. Yeah. So how did you go from karting to where you are now? How did that develop? Because obviously you could say that it was kind of a natural progression, but I'm curious, you seem like someone who you just be offered the chance to race in maybe anything and you go, yeah, why not?
Actually, it was a gradual progression, and it was, let's say, well structured. Actually, I even have my timeline here written because I had an interview 1 week ago. I still have my papers here. So I won my junior championship in go-karting in 2006, 7, 8, and 10, and 12. So there are 5 championships in the junior category, and the senior there are 3. But what I meant to say when, especially in karting, you learn the fundamentals, the brake and the basics of braking, steering, late braking, shifting. If it was a DT2 kart, you learn discipline. Let's say the lining, all the fundamentals and basics of driving you get from karting. And one thing karting is, what's really cool about karting is that it's simple mechanics. There's no electrical mechanics in go-karting. So one of the I forgot what the word is in English, but one of the rules, let's say, my dad had is that if I wanted to drive, I should know how to maintain my kart. So I knew the basics of mechanics and the basics of driving from go-karting. And after having good achievements in go-karting, I felt confident to move to a real car. So I moved to speed test and hill climbs. So here I did the shift, but I moved to, let's say, a well-developed car with a gear system, but still on tarmac. I'm still driving on tarmac, which is the same, let's say, surface as the go-karting, which I'm really confident in. So
did you learn the same thing that you did with the karting? You say you had the basic mechanics for that. Did you go, when you made the transition to cars, you learned the fundamentals there as well, so that you could have a better idea, or did that lessen over time?
Exactly, but the mechanics of a car is way more advanced than a go-kart. But at least go-kart, you know how the car works. There's the brake, there's the engine with one piston, with a plug spark. You know, how the engine works, which is really important. If you have a mechanical failure in a rally, let's say in a stage, mid stage, this is your advantage. If it's a mechanical failure and you know how to fix it in no time, this is your advantage, because you know some fundamentals and basics from go-karting, or I mean, you're used to the car, you're used to how it adapts. It's just the feeling, you just know it.
Yeah, the more you know, the more experience you get, the more help it will be. So if something does go wrong, you'll know what it is, but you won't necessarily be able to explain how. You'll just know that it's probably this, because you're so used to it.
Yeah. So as I said, the progression was gradual. So I moved to speed test in 2022, and I won my category. I won the championship in my category. Surprisingly, I joined in an electrical car, and I got third overall in the front wheel category also. And then what did I do?
So I imagine the electrical car, was that a bit of an anomaly at that point in time? Was that surprising for you that was the case, or?
No, actually, it was quite easy.
No, in terms of like you be not getting used to it, but in terms of the fact that it was an electric car that you were using instead of it being traditional, because I can imagine.
It was my personal car, and again, as you know, this is a very, very crucial and critical point in motorsport, is the budgeting and the sponsorship. I wanted to participate in an Evo, which is an all-drive four-wheel car. But unfortunately, I did not have the right budget, and the sponsors were not 100% confirmed for the whole season. So I just did not want to miss the season. And the easiest way was just to participate in my own car, which is the one I used on my daily basis. I just had slicks on, my helmet on, and then switched it into sport mode.
I feel like that's something that probably happens more often than I think, but I just don't hear about it that often. So whenever someone says, I'm like, that is a pretty neat workaround, just to use your own car.
Yeah, this is what I said earlier about our ASN being very supportive. They try to make championships as budget friendly as possible for us, just to be there and just to have the good exposure for the sponsors to see us, in order to have a better competition in further years.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely helps with the budget side of things. If you've already got the car, you don't need to worry about that. Sponsors will love you for that.
Exactly. After finishing the speed test, I had the chance to qualify for the FIA Rally Star. Yes. So it was a slalom challenge in a Toyota Yaris, and I was super fast in the qualifications for the slalom challenge, because it was a very tight track, similar to the one in go-kart, very tight turns, and it just felt like I'm back in a go-kart track, because it was very tight and very technical. And it was super easy for me. I did not feel that it was challenging at all. And
Yaris sometimes reminds me of just as a go-kart with a lot of extra bodywork.
So I had good timings, and I was able to qualify for the MENA finals in Abu Dhabi. And from there, it was my first experience driving on gravel. Actually, I started when I was 12 years old, back in 2013, I started motocross. So this was my first experience in gravel. I know how, let's say, the vehicle or the motorcycle behaves when driving on gravel. So I had that experience, and we used to drive weekly on a weekly basis. So I was quite familiar with gravel. So when we went to Abu Dhabi, I had good qualification times, and then I was able to qualify as the only female representative of the MENA region to present to compete in the World Finals. After that, maybe in 6 months, we had the chance to participate. I qualified again for the MENA cross car in championship in Lebanon, which I got second place in. And this was my second time I drive the cross car, because the first time was in Abu Dhabi, and it was a really good training for me for the finals. We were well prepared to for the finals actually, and we were really looking forward to it. They announced that it's going to be in the US, so we've issued the visa to the US. And then they decided to change it to Peru. At the time, there were internal conflict in Peru. So they moved it from Peru to Uruguay, then from Uruguay to Italy. And they announced about the finals maybe three weeks before the event, which I had
must
have
been so much fun for you to try and figure that one out. And say America, Peru, Uruguay, Italy, do somewhere.
In all 4 destinations, I need a visa because I have a Jordanian passport. Fortunately, I need a visa permit to enter each and every country. So I was ready for the US. I was ready. I even have my valid visa until now for the US, to Peru, to Uruguay.
I was going to say, at least you have a lot of experience in getting visas now.
Exactly.
There's something useful in that.
But never to Italy. I was not able to issue the visa on time, unfortunately, because it was the Islamic Eid, it was Labor Day, and it was Easter Day in the same 3-week period. So there were no appointments. So I missed it. But I always say that there's good in every delay. Again, it's an Arabic saying, so I can't translate it exactly. But
it won't sound as good. Yeah.
There's good in each delay, and this is where I moved from rally to cross country.
Yes.
So this is where the shift came. I participated in Rally Jameel. 3 editions of Rally Jameel, and I participated in Rally Wadi al-Qamar, which is a navigation rally held in Jordan. Wadi al-Qamar was held at the same time of Baha, Jordan, which is the World Championship of Baha. So it was good exposure. And the first edition was back in 2024, last year. I won first place among against 28 male competitors. I was the only female. Female team. I was the driver. My co-driver was a female. And in Rally Jameel, as you know, it's an all-girl rally. I participated in 3 editions, 2023, 2024, and 2025. In all 3 editions, this is one of the achievements I'm really proud about, that in all 3 editions, I made sure to have a Jordanian teammate, a Jordanian co-driver, and I made sure that she has 0 experience in rallying whatsoever. So there's so many world champions in Rally Jameel. This is a really good exposure, and there's so many Dakar drivers and navigators in Rally Jameel. But I really made sure, because it's as you know, it's somehow a beginner and an amateur rally. So I wanted to I made sure that my co-driver is a beginner. So first year, she was my sister. She barely knew anything about motorsport. She used to drive go-karting back in the days, but she never took it so professionally. The second year, I got my high school and university friend. And for this year, I got an influencer at the beginning, but then she became a really close friend of mine. In all 3 years, we managed to finish in top 5, which is a really great achievement for a navigator who has never knew anything about motorsport. And this year, we managed to finish 3rd overall, first in our category, which is PT6, 6-cylinder, and first overall as same driver and co-driver, having the same nationality.
Wow. Again, there's a lot there, and I'm just trying to figure out where to start, because there's a lot I want to go into more there. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, back when you were doing the Rally Star finals, I mean, first of all, that must have been so frustrating that you couldn't see that through to the end. But I won't focus too much on that, because that probably still, I know you got some good stuff out of it, but there's probably still a bit of annoyance
there. If you want to talk about it.
But the positive that I'll take from it is that you won the opportunity by proving yourself to be the best, to represent Jordan and the region. What did that feel like?
First of all, it was an honor for me to present my country, Jordan, and the whole MENA region in such a powerful program, and in a program that has potential for the driver to become a world championship and to compete in the world in the WRC. And I really wanted to showcase, I really wanted to have the chance to showcase the talents back in the MENA region, because we really do have big names in the MENA region, whether it's in cross country or in the rally, like Nasser Al-Atiyeh. There's upcoming names like Shakir Shwayhan. There's female drivers in the cross country like Dani Aqil, Yazid Al-Rashhi. They're all big names in the MENA region, which we have to shed light on. There's so many talented and skilled drivers here, which the media and the whole world has to know about, because unfortunately the fund and the support is going to the other side of the world. We need more sponsors here. We need more media here, and more attention in order to have more drivers from the MENA region to compete in international championships. So I wanted to have this chance. Unfortunately, I couldn't. But hopefully, we're taking another path, and hopefully I can represent Jordan and the MENA region in the cross country soon.
At least you know it wasn't anything capability-wise that prevented you from going. It was just bad luck on the timing, if nothing else. I think there is just, like you say, it's bad enough to have one of those things kind of getting in the way, but then to have all three at the same time, one after the other, that just must have been incredibly frustrating. But you're also involved in Rally Jameel, like you say, and I think a great part of that, like you said, is the fact that you get so many people going there who have zero experience in motorsport, either for driving or co-driving, and you definitely kept pushing that forward, make sure it was someone from Jordan, and that they, I don't want to say knew nothing, but didn't know very much about how it all worked. You said your sister did some karting before, but didn't take it as seriously. Had she done any other motorsports since karting, or was this her first time back in motorsport since then? And what was it like having her next to you for that first rally? Because sisters can get along well, but if you put them in a competition, I don't know if that stays the same.
Her name is Bayan. Bayan actually has a twin sister called Aya. Aya is now managing many rallies back in Jordan, but Bayan she used to practice go-karting, but she never competed. And then she switched into motocross with me, but again, she never competed. She used to do it only for the fun, because we used to do it on weekly basis. This was our Friday activity for us, so family Friday activity. So this was our activity for the week. But as I said, Bayan never competed and never took this professionally. So I texted her when I wanted a co-driver. I told her, would you want to do a rally with me? She said yes. It was a nice feeling having my sister, my elder sister, with me. It's somehow, let's say, comforting that I have a sister by my side, and if I got angry, it's fine because she's my sister. She probably saw me in saw my worst back home. But we got along actually well, but we did have some small fights, but we're used to having bigger fights back at home, so it was it was okay. But one thing one thing I had in all three experiences is that all co-drivers were very comfortable having me as a driver, because back in 2021, when we held our Baha back in Jordan, we used to my dad was a COC back then, so 2 weeks before the rally he used to check the road book and the stages. So we usually he usually drives the stage and have the road book with him, and he checks if the road book is correctly printed and typed. So I was with him on that day, and on that day we did 2 stages. I think they were 250 kilometers, the first one, and the other one was 170 kilometers, around 170 kilometers. And these days I knew exactly how to read the road book as a professional co-driver, because as I said, he's a professional co-driver, and I was the one driving. So here I knew how to drive in the desert and how to co-drive as well. So having me as the driver in Rally Jameel, but I know really well how to read the road book, was really comforting for them. And I was the one who taught them exactly how to read the tulips and how to read the whole road book. So somehow they did manage to read everything, but as I said, having me next to them, if they have any doubts, they can just flip the page, show me the road book, and I can figure it out.
Yeah, sometimes you can never guarantee how much the driver will have experience-wise with the road book. If they may never have been a co-driver before, they may not have. Yeah. They may just be, well, that's your job, you figure it out. I'm the driving. So exactly. For you to have that open thing is quite nice. I was curious about the other 2 co-drivers that you mentioned there. Obviously, that you say they were very comfortable with you in the car, but how did you notice them develop from the start to the end of each rally? Obviously, you say you had a friend for the second one, and then an influencer for third, who then became a friend. So, what was the transition like for both of those?
The transition was huge, moving from one day to another. I'm going to talk about my latest experience in 2025 with the influencer. Her name is Joy Ibrahim. Joy Ibrahim, on her first day, this is by far her first wild experience, let's say, doing a rally, a 6-day rally. It was a 5-day rally, and each stage was around 190 or 180 kilometers. It was insane for her. On the first day, she never knew she would have it, but she had motion sickness mid-stage. But she never mentioned it. Yeah.
Oh, she never mentioned it.
She never mentioned it, and actually she had the motion sickness from the road section, from the first 2 kilometers before even reaching the stage. But she never mentioned it because she didn't want to cause any trouble. So
that's a long time to not say anything about that.
Exactly. But I never noticed it because up until her voice started to fade, and I felt she either slept or fainted. So I looked at her. I told her, Joy, are you okay? She told me, no, I have motion sickness. So she took a breath. She removed the helmet. We took a 5 minutes break. And then this was the first day ever for her doing such a rally. We did have an intensive 2-day training, but it's never the same up until the first day.
Into the rally.
So the first day, she was catching up, but let's say as a percentage, she was 30% on that day. On the second day, she became 60%. On the third and fourth day, she was amazing. She was amazing to the point I told her at the end of the stage, if I have another navigation rally, I would definitely participate with you.
That's quite the turnaround.
Yeah, I usually have trust issues as a person, but I reached to a point where I trusted Joy, where there was a place, a really less visible place in the desert, where I turned and asked Joy, where do you think we should go? And she points the way, and it's the correct way. And I'm usually the one who takes the decision which route to take. But because on the third and the third day she did amazing. On the first day, I used to ask her every time the road was unclear. I used to ask her, which road do you think we should take? And she used to get it right. So this also makes me proud that the 2-day intensive training and two stages we did together made me really proud that actually I'm a really good mentor, let's say, or a teacher, or
you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think I should open a rally school now.
Never say never.
It's too early. Let's race.
Leave that for later, but you've got an idea now for later.
Yeah.
So then, like you say, 3 Rally Jameels, and clearly know what you're doing in terms of coaching other people to help them along. But it wasn't just them you helping, you were kind of helping as part of the initial 2 days of everyone getting used to how to do a rally before they do the rally. What was it like working with all of these women from across the globe, that have kind of a massive diversity of backgrounds and experience? And did you learn something a bit unexpected as part of that whole experience?
First of all, actually having an all-women rally is something amazing. And having more women, as I said, in this sport is much needed, because actually women do have the talent and do have the courage to do so, but unfortunately, because first of all, it's a male dominant sport, and because we are in the MENA region where this is unlikely to happen, we need such events to encourage women just to find this spark in them, to find themselves and to start actually competing in world championships. So it was really nice having all these ambitious girls in this rally, and all these girls who want to find themselves. But also it's really nice to see world champions and the car drivers and co-drivers there sharing their experience, knowing them on a personal level, and it just makes the difference when you really take the sport seriously. So hopefully when I do have, I did the connections for when I want to actually compete in world championships. So now I almost know them on a personal level.
Well, as well with a race like that, because it obviously it takes a long time. It's 5 days. It's a shorter version of that in a lot of ways. 5 days, like, oh, it's only 5 days. This will be fine. Yeah. But it's still 5 days, and you're not all stuck together, but you see each other a lot more and spend a lot of time with each other than you would if you were competing in a different kind of racing series. So you kind of have to figure out how to get along with each other, and you can't help but get to know everyone in that way, and that creates an interesting bond then that you can't really understand unless you've been there and had a similar experience yourself. So like you say, it's a networking event, a bit unlike anything else.
Exactly. And usually in Rally Jameel, for example, this year, because it started in Petra, they did an activity on the first day where we all walked and visited Petra at night. So what I mean is Rally Jameel do make the effort to bring us all together and to know each other on a personal level, not only as competitors.
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, it makes the competition a bit more interesting as well than when you've got that personal element in there. Remind me as well, what was the name of the race you were saying about earlier that you came in top of class out of 28 competitors?
Yeah, Wadi al-Qamar.
That was the one.
Wadi al-Qamar it's a shorter version of Rally Jameel. It's only a 2-day one. It was in Jordan, in Wadi Ram. Wadi al-Qamar actually is one of the names of Wadi Ram. As a translation, it's the valley of the moon.
I feel like I'm testing your translation skills too much today.
I'm trying to make you to learn Arabic, that's all.
Oh, that might take a little longer. But yeah, you this 2-day rally and you come out on top. That's got to feel pretty satisfying as well, especially, I mean, I know you said earlier that ideally the point we get to is where it doesn't matter if it's men or women as long as it's the best people getting there. But being the only woman in that and getting to beat all of the men, was that a bit extra satisfaction?
It was all the satisfaction actually. And when I won, no one believed it. They said I've somehow played with the results. They just you know the men ego when they just don't allow a girl to win, or so this is what happened. So there
must be something wrong. There must have been something that went wrong there. Yeah.
So, and I still hear it until now. In all my championships and in all my wins, there's always some people who try to bring you down by saying this is not possible, something went wrong, it's because you're a girl, someone is helping you. It's always that case. But it's only
frustrating, but then makes it even more satisfying when you just go and do it again then.
Yeah.
So there must have been, there's so much there, like you say, and I understand what you mean when you say there was this natural progression, because on the one hand you were karting for ages, but then you switched to going on bikes for a little bit, but that's more of like the accident in some ways because it was part of a family activity, but you got to experience on gravel that way, not knowing that would then help you later when you did the FIA Rally Star. And it all kind of comes together and helps you then in the off-road. I'm curious though, out of all of this period of time, do you have a racing-related story that you love yourself, but not many people know?
There's nothing on my mind at the moment.
Yeah, the opposite. We can come back to it if you think of something.
Yeah.
Out of all of this time period that you've been racing, you say obviously that in even that last race that we were talking about, because you're a woman, people doubt that you are capable and there must be something going on. Is that the most challenging thing for you that you've had to overcome, or is there something else that's been even more challenging for you? And if so, what was it? How did you manage to get past it?
No, actually, it doesn't bother me at all. Let's say the most difficult thing, unfortunately, is let's say budgeting and sponsorship, and the visa and all these stuff that come in the middle of you becoming a champion. Because as you know, motorsport is the most expensive, or one of the most expensive sports in the world, and you need a really huge budget if you want to properly compete. So not having the proper sponsors, the proper exposure, and the proper budgeting for the season just makes you want to cross out some events which you really want to do, which will give you the exposure to show the world what you can do. So I've been struggling with that for quite some time. I really wanted to do Baja 2 years ago, but I never had the chance. I only had the chance to do it this year, actually, till the end of this year. I have something, I cannot reveal it, but we're working on something until the end of the year.
A good tease, though.
Yeah. But so the main challenges is the sponsor, because as an athlete, what you should worry about is your physical, mental training, and your driving skills. I personally think you shouldn't worry about if you're really going to do the season or not, if you're securing the sponsorship and the budget or not. This has to be by default, and you as an athlete, you have to
you've got to be
develop
ready
personally only, and mentally and athletically, and not worry about these small details. But unfortunately, this is how it is, and let's see what this year holds.
I think, like you say, it's the foundations again. You were saying earlier with karting, if you know as much as you can about what you're involved in, then it will help you at some point, especially when things get difficult. So if you're as physically and mentally prepared as possible, even if you don't have any of the rest of it, you know yourself that when those things come into place, you'll be ready and you can use it to the best of your ability then. I suppose, is it also frustrating that because of the conditions in that part of the world, a lot of the rallies and competitions generally that I see, they all happen a lot at the same time, so you kind of have to choose which one you go to. Is that frustrating element too? Because one may suddenly be more important for no apparent reason 1 year to the next, and it could just be, again, bad luck that you happen to compete at not the wrong one, but the wrong one.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things, maybe this could be another struggle, is that because I'm really confident in both now, in tarmac and in gravel, so I tend to take any chance that's given to me. So now I'm looking forward for the Saudi Championship in both hill climb, time attack, and autocross championships in Saudi Arabia. So the first time attack has already passed 2 weeks ago. I missed it just because of the sponsorship thing. I have a meeting with a potential sponsor in 2 weeks before the hill climb championship. So if we have a deal, I'm gonna do the 3 Saudi championships for the hill climb, autocross, and time attack championships. So these are all on tarmac. But what I really want to do is the gravel, which is Baja, and the Jordan Championship in Rally. I want to try myself in Rally. I want to do Baja, MENA Championship, but I want to do the local championship in Jordan for the Baja. If I want to do all these 5 championships, I won't be able to. Definitely, they're going to overlap in one way or another. Definitely, there are some events which are more important than the other, which are the MENA Championship, the Baja one. Then comes the Saudi one, because it has potential and exposure to sponsors, which is really huge in Saudi Arabia, as you know. And then comes the local rally championship in Jordan, because this I can do, actually. I can shift it till next year, because this is I'm doing it as a backup in case I did not have the right sponsors for Baja. I can do gravel, because as I said, I'm pretty confident in all terrains. So wherever you put me,
choose as best as possible.
Yeah, probably I'll do great in all.
I like the confidence, though. Put me anywhere, and I'll be on it. And so you kind of perfectly answered my next question as well. I was going to ask, what are your ambitions for the rest of the year and in the future beyond that? But the short answer is everything.
Everything, but what I'm really looking forward to is one of the MENA championships of Baja. We're working on that. I'm doing one, actually. There's 2 more left, so probably it's not really difficult to guess which one is. So we have a full strategy, and we're working towards it. And hopefully by the end of this race, we're going to have good exposure and close deals with sponsorship for the 2026 season.
My fingers crossed for you, and keep an eye out for that, because that would be great to see.
Hopefully everything goes as planned. And if in case let's
I
say,
love the amount of backup plans that you've got. You've just got, if we're not doing this, we'll do this. If not this, we'll do this.
Because I tell
you've got to try and do everything.
I was supposed to be in. I was supposed to be competing in the MENA Championship back in 2 years ago, but because of the financial issues, I wasn't able to. So now I have many backups, just because I don't want to miss the 2026 season.
Yeah.
So
no, it makes sense.
And we're working on not on social media, but we're working on personal exposure. I'm gonna do a summit in the US, and just to let more people know who Farah Zakaria is, what her passion is, and what she's willing to do in 2026.
I'd say there's a lot of importance on that sort of thing these days. Maybe more than we'd like, but it all counts and it all gets you in the right direction. So if that's what you've got to do, you're going to go and do that. So yeah, it's good. Like you say, you've got a million different plans, and at least some of them should work. So it's kind of, I like this kind of approach of, we'll do a bit of everything, we'll see what we can do, and like you say, as long as it gets you to where you want to go, then it's great. And if along the way, you'll definitely get some good stories out of it, if nothing else. Yeah,
sure.
Couple of non-motorsport related questions for you, just to finish off. When I was doing my homework on you and looking at what I was going to talk to you about, I noticed on your page Bombastic Brownies.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that, because that's not something I see every day with motorsport riders.
Okay, that's a long story. We're gonna go back to 2027. That's when I graduated from high school. So when I graduated from
it's not a recent thing then.
Yeah, I wanted to study in Loughborough. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correct.
You are.
I wanted to study automotive engineering.
Mm-hmm.
But I had difficulties with the visa again, which made me...
It's going to be... I hope this doesn't become a theme.
Hopefully not. So I missed my first semester. So I joined in the German Jordanian University back in Jordan as an industrial engineer. The plan was to study German, because German was compulsory, to study German, and then the second year I'll have good German skills to go and live in Germany and to study proper automotive engineering in Karl Benz University. So this was the plan. When I joined industrial engineering, and then I saw what German is, I wasn't able to pick up German at all. And I said...
You were saying earlier about Arabic being difficult to learn. German is also complex.
I'm not a language person. You've
got English, it's perfectly fine. There we go. You've got English and Arabic, you're sorted.
It's the universal language. This is a side story, but my dad put me into French for 6 years, but little did he know I never attended a class, and I was doing gymnastics instead, but he never knew that. Anyways, back to German. I was never good in German, so I thought I would never enjoy mechanical engineering if I studied it in Germany, and in German, and I would never understand it. And I really enjoyed industrial engineering, actually, because it's engineering and business together. So I stayed. I finished my bachelor's in industrial engineering in Jordan, but before that, again to Bombastic, I shifted.
It's all related, I'm sure.
When I wanted to go and study in the UK, the first thing Dad said that there's no way you're gonna live alone, and you can't even feed yourself if you're gonna live alone. Because I used to only eat instant noodles. So I'm a really competitive person. So when he said that, I started my own business back at home, which is Bombastic Brownies. It was back at home from our kitchen. And our slogan, I made sure that our slogan was Bombastic Zero Plastic. So it was a plastic-free business. I used to sell in my university. I made an Instagram page. I used to have lots of orders, so it was a side business. I used to have all my savings there, and then buy something for me at the end of each year. And then in 2023, and when I had to go, and I lived in Germany for two years. So when I went and lived in Germany, the business paused for 2 years. Now I live in Dubai, but many people requested Bombastic to come back. So
it's popular when people are doing that.
Exactly. So in 2023, Bombastic is back, but as a cloud kitchen. So now I have 3 employees who fully operate. I manage Bombastic remotely here, but the kitchen does all the work back in Jordan.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting half of that. But it's a definite side hustle. I mean, again, I shouldn't be too surprised, I suppose. Like you were saying just now, you've got all these motorsport plans and all these different eventualities. Of course, you've got a side business in Brownies. Of course you do. And it's still going, and it's big as well. So I love that. Final question then. Outside of racing, so I've asked this question before, and people somehow bring it back around to motorsport, which is the opposite of my intention.
Okay.
Is there anything you like to do for fun outside of racing?
Yeah, actually. Definitely not work. I'm really fun and outgoing person. I enjoy... actually, I have all the licenses in the world. I do climbing on the side. I do diving. And that's it, actually. But I do hiking.
All of the licenses. It's the 2 important ones.
Yeah. And I do hiking. Anything wild and adventurous, I would do it.
It's not a bad way to go about things.
And I have a big passion for animals too. And especially sea creatures.
Goes well with the diving.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to be in such situation, but I always think I love sharks. And I always think that if I actually saw a shark in front of me, I wouldn't be frightened, but I'm not really.
Depends on the shark, maybe.
But this is how much I like sea creatures. I really want to
have one of those experiences in a cage where they can't quite get to you, and then you can test out how you feel about it. And then at least you know if you're not a fan, you can go, right, get me out of here.
Yeah, but definitely I'm going to stick my finger out or my hand out. I'm not really sure if I'm still going to...
And that's the story of how she lost a finger.
Exactly.
So yeah, I shouldn't be too surprised really that climbing, diving, sharks, animals, all of this sort of thing is also here, because I think with motorsport people, if they weren't doing motorsport, they'd be doing something else that's equally extreme in a different way. So it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, but let's say if I was competing, it would be climbing.
What about climbing that you love then?
Oh, it's the bouldering one.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I'm going to say that not easy either. That can be quite. Well, I don't know. Probably for you, you've probably got quite a bit of experience now. You probably think, this is fine, but it's one of the more tricky versions. I think I did a bit of that last year, and yeah, I mean, it takes some thinking. As there's the mental side of it as well, aside from just the physicality of it.
Yeah, because it's the way you move your body, and it's the way because it's a path that you have to take. Before actually taking the route, you have to picture yourself climbing and see where you're actually putting your hands and your legs, and when are you switching from left to right hands and legs.
My main problem was I could see all of that perfectly fine. I just then couldn't quite reach. And I'd get so close, and then I'd have to rethink, like, there must be another way to do this, and maybe I've just got to do it as quickly as I can so I don't run out of energy.
You actually asked me about a story that no one knows, or a funny story about racing.
Mm-hmm.
This is one thing. But now when I mentioned the climbing, I remembered it because it's the same issue. I have it all the time. Do you know that I do not recognize the left from the right?
Oh, that's a big problem.
So usually when I'm climbing, I draw a red and the blue circle here. So whoever is belaying me, he says red hand, blue hand. It's not left and right. And whenever I'm driving, there is an L.
You're a co-driver. You did co-driving. How do you not? That seems like it would be a problem.
There's always an L and an R at the top of the page. And when I'm driving, there's always an L and an R on the windshield. No one can see it. I can see it. But whenever they're there, I don't do any mistakes. But I have to see them in my eyesight.
I think next time someone says to you, "Oh, you kind of won this race. There must be something wrong with it because you're a woman. You must have done something." Say, and I did it, and I didn't even know my left and right. So it's extra satisfying there.
And no one would know. It's true.
Oh, that's mad. I can't think of kind of a madder thing to finish on. So I think that's the perfect way to end this. Thank you very much for being here today, for chatting. Thank you very much for your time. And I'm looking forward to seeing whatever it is you get up to next, because you're not short of options, but whatever it is, it's probably going to be good.
There's always plans A and B and C.
Thank you again to Farah for taking the time to chat. Wishing you the best of luck for the rest of 2025 and beyond. If you want to follow Farah's career, follow her on Instagram at Farah Zak. Further details, as well as where to find more of me, can be found in the description of this episode. In the meantime, I'll be back soon with another interview with someone from the world of motorsport. Until then, thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.